Hi friends, you must have read about news related to data leaks, even from big companies like Facebook and Yahoo. It is very important to build a secure system to avoid such data leaks. Today, I am going to talk about one such security principle which you can use to build a secure software system. Stride is developed by Microsoft and it stands for spoofing, tampering, repudiation, information disclosure, denial of service, and elevation of privilege. It is a mechanism to identify risks in your system. We will talk about it in detail, but let's try to understand what is threat modeling. Threat modeling is a systematic and structured way to identify and mitigate risks in your software. You can start with building your model, identify threats using stride principle, mitigate those threats, validate, and keep on repeating this process till no new threats are identified. Let's talk about spoofing. It is an act of posing as someone else to gain access to someone else's resources. For example, I can try to log into your account by performing a brute force attack to figure out your password. One way to mitigate this risk is to use authentication for each and every request to your system. Another one is tampering. You must have heard about tampering evidences in criminal investigation. It is pretty similar. It is an act where someone else modifies your data and questions its integrity. For example, let's say I named myself Rashmi, but someone changed it to John. He tampered with my data. One way to mitigate it is to have proper input validation and encoding of output. Repudiation is the third one. It means denying an action which was indeed performed by that entity. For example, I transferred X dollars to a bank and tomorrow I deny that I performed this action. One way to mitigate this risk is to use activity logs for proper tracking. Information disclosure is the most famous one, where confidential data is disclosed to unintended users. One way to mitigate this risk is to encrypt data so that even if it is available for someone else, he is not able to interpret it. Denial of service refers to an act where attacker tries to flood your system with so many requests that your system is unable to serve requests to its intended users. One way to mitigate it is to use quota-based resource allocation. The last one is elevation of privilege. As the name suggests, it means someone gains access to some actions which are not intended to be performed by him. For example, a customer gains access to admin rights. So now he can not only access the data but also modify it. One way to mitigate it is to have proper authorization and follow least privilege principle. That is, you assign user only access to the resources which are required by him and only the actions which are really required to be performed by that user. I hope this security principle will be useful for building a secure system. Thank you.